It's me, Leslie. Is it midnight? It's just about midnight. Tuesday morning, Monday night, whatever. The third. Let's call it the third, because it just flipped over into Tuesday morning. I took Leslie Plazz here. Zazoo Plazz here for the weekly Zazoo Plazz report. November 3rd. Just turned November 3rd. No, 4th. I did all my notes on the 3rd, Monday. As I told you, my birthday was Sunday. It was Halloween. It's my big weekend. So I took Sunday off. Let's see, when I start. The reason I would have got this done before midnight, but I was messing with my new microphone, which I got myself for my birthday. I got myself one of these handy dandy little things. I'm still using my old mic because it's a long story, but I got myself one of these fuzzy little things. This is for, I guess, outside. Doesn't work too well on here. It's gonna bug me, I think. I'll figure it out. And I got one of these plain ones too. I can figure out. It's soft and cozy. All right. I didn't have a chance to hack it, work with it. I got all these little thingies here. Being Gen X, folks, I'll figure it out. I'm sure the X could figure it out. He likes reading manuals. But I'll figure it out. I'm pretty good at it. I'll just probably play with it and watch the video online where I bought it. It'll work. Strange energies. So I started with that. Halloween was really windy. I was going to do my laundry. So I get the laundry. I got it sitting there. Oh, not that way. I'm all discombobulated this week. Because I didn't do my laundry on Halloween night when I was supposed to. See, I always do the laundry Friday night into Saturday. And I'm all messed up because I got a towering bag of laundry sitting in my entrance. I got a vent. Trying to grow I just want to grow the sides out. Anyway, you're going to get it all today, folks. All the dirty details, not all of them, because I'm Scorpio and I'm not going to tell you anything really important, but it's all important, so bear with me. It'll all come out in the wash. And there goes my fridge. This is how we work here at Zazoo Plazz Central. Oh, Halloween. Yeah, I got 5 kids. It was one little girl, princess, and then we got an astronaut and Wonder Woman. I think they're the same kids I got last year. And then we got, at 9 o'clock, I still had my light on. I got a couple of teenagers in gruesome masks with flesh dripping down. I said, help yourself. They all took big handfuls. I got those teeny, tiny little mini candies. And I stuck a candle in one last night to make my birthday wish. Last night, meaning Sunday night, not Monday night. Anyway, time doesn't exist. I gotta go turn my phone off. It's messing me up. Okay. So anyway, this might be a long report, even though I thought I didn't have a lot to talk about. But so it was too windy on Halloween. I said, there's no way. So I put it off, and I shouldn't have. I should have just done it, but it was really, really windy, even rainy Saturday night. We just had some rain. I might go out this morning early and do it, just because I don't like to push it off too much during the week. Anyway, so that was Halloween. It was really creepy, And then my birthday. So I'm officially turned 60 on on Wednesday, or I mean, I'm all discombobulated because I'm off my schedule Sunday, which was Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead, Day of All Souls. So, I said it would be, I was up at like 3 in the morning, wide awake, which is around the time I was born. Not exactly, but pretty close. And so we had to turn the clocks back. So I actually got an extra hour of sleep. But I got up at 3 a.m. because I go on a different schedule of sleep. So, yeah. So where do I start? Oh, yeah. So I had wrapped a bunch of my presents, which I opened, and I thoroughly enjoyed doing that. And on my birthday night, Sunday night, I put a candle in one of my little Three Musketeers bars and made my birthday wish. And so that was nice. So, I didn't need the big cake and all that stuff. Just simple. Simple is what I like. Simple, quiet. But on my birthday, so I did my morning run. I'm having my yogurt, Greek yogurt with fruit and stuff, granola. My dad's texting. My dad was calling me all day Saturday. And finally, he texted me. I'm not having breakfast Sunday. He says, "Oh, I'd like to take you to lunch, unless you have plans, tell me when's good, So, I said, okay. So he wanted to go, there's like 3 restaurants, a couple restaurants that my dad always goes to. He's Taurus. He always goes to the same place. He wanted, Shady Glen, which is this local, burger place where he met my mom back in the 50s. It's been around that long. He didn't meet her there. He took her there on their first date. They met in high school. So he always wants to go there. They used to take the boys there. It's this old-fashioned kind of, classic kind of burger place, like the 50s. So it's still around. And then, the 99, which is your basic, family-type restaurant, whatever we have here in Connecticut. I said, you know what, Dad? Now, let's go somewhere new. So I found this new place called Pastrami on Rye with a W, like rye, the joke, on, like the bread, which I'd never been to, and it's on the Manchester Road Race. There's this Thanksgiving road race we have every year in Manchester, Connecticut, near me, and this place is kind of on the route, kind of at the point where you kind of turn the corner and you go toward the finish, kind of on that. It's in the vicinity of the road race, which I had always wanted to try it. They had this, so I went there with my dad, and we both got Reubens. I got the turkey Reuben, which was pretty good actually. I could only eat half of it, and I brought the rest home. And he had the pastrami Reuben, with the sauerkraut and everything. So mine was pretty healthy, but not really. The pickle was probably the healthiest thing. But on your birthday, you don't care about that stuff. I don't eat like that normally. And then usually I'd get the salad, but it was pretty good, because that's pretty much all I ate the whole day. So that was good. And some lady noticed my socks. I had my sugar skull socks on. She's like, "Oh, I like your socks." The ones I got in Tucson, they're purple with little skulls on them, sugar skulls. She didn't quite get the connection. People in Connecticut aren't always up on that stuff. But anyway, that's like my thing. I talked about it last week, so I won't talk about it again. Laundry. So my dad, yeah. So we had a nice lunch, nice, just hanging out with him. He gave me a card. He gave me some cash. Let's see, $1 for every year. Put some cash in there, and he gave me some candy for the guys. He had all this leftover Halloween candy. he bought good stuff too, like Kit Kats and stuff. So I did not see my youngest son, so I saved some candy for my dad to give him next time I see him. I did talk to him last week. I had to go up to near Yukon where he lives for something, and he was here. He came home near me for a dental appointment. So I'm up where he lives, and he's down here, and we're like, I caught like, hey, how are you? I'm up at Yukon. And then he's like, no, I'm home. So we didn't know. But he was getting ready because they were having a big Halloween party at his house, and his band was playing. They had like 3 gigs last weekend, and one of them was at his house. They had a big Halloween party with, his girlfriend was there, all their friends. So I heard that he went home and he raided the costume bin, where, at Plazz headquarters, where we keep all these props and things that we've used over the years. Put them in a big costume bin in the basement. We have a finished basement. So the boys would always go in there, and grab whatever they needed for different costumes, even when they were, teenagers and early 20s now. They're still doing it. So that's good. So yeah, it was crazy. I wanted to go. I went to the thrift store to try to find some stuff, and it was just too many people, too much noise, too rushed. And plus, I knew my oldest son. He was in Hartford. Well, I guess he was in Hartford. He was taking a course for work. So, he came over, and he brought me a little present. It was so cute. He bought a little bag, and he picked out a card, and he wrote his own little message on there. I'm pretty sure it wasn't AI generated. I'm pretty sure it came from him, because it just sounded like him. It was, he's very responsible, very conscientious. He made sure to wish me happy birthday. He's just it's so cute. He got me a set of pens. Oh, yeah, aren't these nice? He picked these out himself, and he said he liked this little thing here. It looks like I don't know, but he goes to this little paper shop near Yale because he goes to visit his girlfriend, goes to Yale, and he's got a lot of friends down there. So, and that's near where he went to college, and his work is down there. But he's up here now. And then he got me. I haven't opened it yet, but look, he got me an origami kit, for folding paper, and it has all these cool things you can make, and I thought that was so cool. So he got me that. I got myself a couple of things, some air like sage spray that I use. And, I got myself some tea tree balm and some nice, I got some nice body lotions and shower gels. So I'm all set. I had a nice birthday. What more do you need? I tried to do some posting tonight on Facebook, and it was normally I post at odd hours. Posting at 9 o'clock at night doesn't work. Everything is like zzz, still running. So I don't know. So there's a lot of things that I have to work on. Some things that just bug me. They just bug me. Things like technical things, like this, like that. Anyway, so get into it, Zazoo. Okay, talked enough, right? All right. So I'm using the All Souls Day readings because that's my birthday. But when it falls on a Sunday, that's the Sunday readings from the All Souls Day. Growing up, I guess it used to be that November 1st, or Day of All Saints, was you had to go to church. And then if my birthday, All Souls Day, was on Sunday, then you had to go 2 days in a row, which is, nobody got time for that. Definitely not anymore. Anyway, what do you really think? Okay. Oh, never mind. I've got to say it. Anyway. Okay, so there's this So these are the readings that they use at funerals. This is my birthday, folks. Okay. Yeah, the souls of the just are in the hands of God. So there's talk about the just, right? So we're in, just to give a little astrological flavor. Okay, we're in Scorpio. Well, the moon is in Aries now. Mercury and Mars are pretty much conjunct, sitting on my natal Mercury. Mercury's at the beginning of Sag, conjunct my natal Mercury in Sag, and Mars is sitting at the end of Scorpio, right? Also sitting right there on my Mercury. So I've got Mars conjunct my natal Mercury and transit Mercury. So it's interesting. I come, and I notice myself getting, fired up and rambling and, getting a little self-righteous, which is, typical of Mercury and Sag. But Mars is in Sag, so end of Scorpio. So that's, Mars in Scorpio is intense, right? So it's, there's a lot of, water and fire energy. There's a water grand trine, between Jupiter and Cancer, Saturn conjunct Neptune in Pisces, retrograde. And then we got Mars over there in Mercury, or Mars in Scorpio, and the Sun in Scorpio, right? So, and there's fire. There's the Moon in Aries, all the Sagittarius coming up. So, and then there's a bunch of asteroids in Aries. So, because Pluto and Aquarius. So that's kind of the background, the flavor of the week, if you will. So they're talking about, what, and this is pertinent to me, because, being a Scorpio, we Scorpios, we're ruled by Pluto, right? We don't shy away from the depths, right? Deep things, right? Talking about it. I was fascinated as a kid about stories about, horror stories, death, dying stories. Other kids were, scared by that stuff, but I would scare myself on purpose. I'd pull all the blinds down and listen to Hitchcock records and ghost records and, on my little turntable. This is what we did, kids, before we had, the internet. I used to, I had because, boomers had, like, rock records. I had kiddie records, and then by the time I got to be a teenager, it was cassettes. So I didn't really have a lot of albums, except kids' albums. And a lot of them were Bee Gees, Captain and Tennille, and my horror records, So I had a few of those. And, I used to listen to them over and over and try to scare myself. And, at a young age, I would read all kinds of, Edgar Allan Poe. The scarier the better. Then I got into Stephen King and, Poe and all those things. Middle school, even, I'd go looking for this stuff. I want to scare the crap out of myself. So, and then I would read all kinds of religious books, being in Catholic school, and I'd read psychology, and I'd read philosophy, as I got into high school and college. Those were the topics I gravitated toward, the depths, social, not just skimming the surface, but really digging in, and I had an insatiable curiosity for those things. So, this was one of the readings, some of the readings that, I went to funerals at a pretty young age. My grandparents, and they always read these readings, and November as a Catholic in the church, all the readings were to do with death, right? And because the end of the year was coming, and then Advent would start, you know. But there would be this, you know, of course the readings would keep pace with what was going on in nature. It's not just the church, it's every religion has a season, you know, where it's getting dark, and so you need light, right? You need hope. You know, it's a time where you look to your heart, to your soul, you know, for hope, right? So it's the souls of the just are in the hands of God. In other words, protected. It said the foolish see them as dead. You know, people, bodies. You know, the ego, the earth, the body dies, right? But the soul is immortal. The soul does not die. So, you know, but think that people are at peace when they pass. You know, they've proven they've survived their trials. They've worked off their karma in this life, right? And they've proven themselves to be worthy of God. So it talks about there's an alchemy. As gold in the furnace, he proved them. So then there's this gold, this image. Of course, it's the Christ light, right? That we can envision, you know, because we are spirit in these bodies, in this material world, right? You know, it's at the time of their visitation. So visitation, you know, could be, I guess, when you're at the end of your life, when your soul has the review, you know, of everything that you've done in your life. You know, how did you do? Did you do what you came here to do, right? It says, they shall shine and dart about as sparks through stubble. So that spark, that word spark, yeah, that led me to the song of the week. So we'll see. Yeah, like I said, the fire energy. It says, those who trust in him shall understand truth. Truth is like Sagittarius, I think. You know, it's that shooting the arrow right for the target, you know, trying to get to the truth of things. That's what Sagittarius does, right? So, and this psalm is the one they always read at the funerals. You know, Lord is my shepherd, nothing I shall want, you know, though I walk in the valley of darkness, I fear no evil. By restful waters, you know, blah, blah, blah. Verdant pastures I repose. You know that one. You know, setting a table in the sight of my foes. That's interesting. And then the oil imagery and the cup overflowing. That's, you know, that's more water right there. Yeah, so, you know, it talks about, and then there's the letter to the Romans. It says, hope does not disappoint. So, you know, these have always been readings that I've found have given me hope, given me, you know, purpose, and I like to read them. You know, and I've always been a very optimistic, hopeful person. And hope, you know, I've got a lot of Sagittarius. Sagittarius is a very optimistic sign, right? So it's, you know, just, this might seem dark. In other words, people, it might look dark, but if you've got God, you know, the Spirit of God within us, you know, that warms us, right? It gives us light, gives us hope, right? And so we can choose. Do you want to look at the light, the positive aspects to whatever, right? Or do you want to stay in the dark? So it's almost like we've been given a choice here, and there's always, yeah. So, you know, it talks a lot about, you know, Christ, of course, coming down and, you know, becoming human, you know. In other words, Christ being the all-conscious, the totality of consciousness, coming down into a human body, right, to show us, you know, we are humans who are, you know, we've become unconscious. In other words, we're the minute we're born, we're, you know, our souls go from being, you know, perfect, from being, you know, eternal to being in a physical body, right? So that as we're born, we're we begin dying. It's a process, right? And as we've chosen to be incarnate, to work on a particular thing, to earn our scout badges, as it were, whenever we're missing, we gotta get that. We gotta get that scout badge. And I got 2 Eagle Scouts, so sons, so this is appropriate. But yeah, so Christ did that though, to show us the way. We imperfect, mortals here, stumbling around in the dark, no matter what season it is, we are apart from God. We forget, right, that we're spirit. We think that this is all there is. So he came to show us, no, look at me, okay? I'm telling you, and now you don't have to be in the dark anymore, because I'm showing you how to do it, right? And so it's just a matter of having faith in that, and not putting your energy toward that which passes away, which is all the material things, right? But spending your energy consciously toward the things that are going to get you somewhere, right? So looking for some action, looking for where things are happening. Now, this leads into the song of the week. In other words, look for the spark, that thing that, sometimes everything just is boring. Look for that thing that lights you up, right? When all about you is kind of bleh. Look for the thing that gets you, that your voice goes up higher, and people tell you to settle down when you start talking about, right? Because your voice goes up and you get all excited. That thing. Okay. People are always telling me. I don't listen anymore. I'm gonna talk. So look out. Gospel of John 6. Jesus is talking to the crowds, and he says, that everything God gives to him, he gives to us. Okay, it funnels through him. In other words, his, the Christ light. Of course, it comes down and through, and so he came to do not his will, but God's will, right? So he's come here on a mission, right? And so everyone who sees him, Jesus, in other words, everyone who gets it, gets the message, and believes, well, in other words, if you do what you came here to do, not what you want to do in a selfish way, but what God has in mind for you, it's God expressing himself through us in the world, right? So that's anyone who does that, that God, will protect, right? And everything is all connected. So nothing is lost, right? Whatever God has given, he says, whatever God has given him, nothing will be lost. So that means, we can just kind of let go, right? And not feel the need to control, anything. We can just let go and be as we are, who we are. Like, just like nature, all the leaves, they let go, right? They drop, they turn, they drop, right? That enables the flow of nature to continue, and so it is with us. This is what I think. Take it or leave it. Whatever. So the song, of course, I remembered, I saw a picture from my 47th birthday. My ex took me to see, we went to see Bruce Springsteen at the Hartford XL Center. And so my 47th birthday. And so I thought, that's perfect for this week. Dancing in the Dark. Bruce Springsteen. So I posted a picture of myself standing next to this giant picture of the boss. next to the ladies' room. Because, of course, you got to hit the ladies' room before the concert, so you don't have to miss anything. Anyway, yeah. So this one was, the reason that you can't start a fire without a spark, right? And there's the spark imagery. This gun's for hire. Yeah. So in other words, I never knew some of the lyrics, right? Because we didn't back then. But now that I can go on, Wikipedia and research, I kind of can relate to this because I'm sitting here, radio's on, I'm moving around my place, I dance here, I do my workouts, and you want to change your clothes, your hair, your face. Sometimes you just got to change something. That's Sagittarius. That's change, mutable, right? Mutable fire. Get the spark. He's looking. In other words, he's radio's on. So this is kind of a spiritual awakening kind of song, right? This is, and I'll tell you what really happened. But to me, he's tired. He's bored. He's in a, when you're in a spiritual, sort of period of awakening, there's this dark night, right? I kind of feel like that's going on sometimes these days because you're bored. Everything is boring, right? You're looking for that spark, for that thing that lights you up, right? And you want to change things. You want to control things, right? Make something happen, right? Something's going on somewhere. I just know there is. I gotta find it. And you feel like you gotta go out and, out there. But the action is it's within, right? You go within. That's where it is. That's the whole meaning of the song. He's trying to, in other words, okay, he was told to write a hit single for his album. Let's see, it was 1984. So, 1984 for his Born in the USA album. So this guy, John Landau, told him, he's like, dude, I wrote 70 songs. Take one of those. And he said, no. So he went home, and overnight he wrote this. He brought through this song, and that's how it happens. He said, he had felt isolated after the success of The River, and he was frustrated trying to write this hit single that they told him to write, right? So he channeled that anger, that frustration into this song, right? And then, so that's how it is, sitting around here trying to write this book. If you ain't getting nowhere living in a dump like this, right? And really, Earth is the dump, right? He says he's looking for, this gun's for hire. He's saying to God, hey, let me have something here. I'm available. And God doesn't have that many people who are, available to, rest his words with. But, artists are songwriters, artists, writers, that's where it comes through most of the time for us to hear and get inspired, right? So that's how God talks to us. So he's saying this gun's for hire. He's Bruce Springsteen. He says, yay, pick me, I'm here. I'm open, I'm listening, right? And this song comes through. So he was released, he recorded it Valentine's Day, 1984. It was released May 9th, 84. So it was the first single from that album. It was his biggest hit, and that was his best-selling album. So this was like his biggest hit from that album, right? Not of all time, but from that album. It spent 4 weeks number two on the Billboard behind Prince. And I think Duran Duran was up there at that time too. but it got the Billboard Top Tracks list. It was #1 for 6 weeks. So it won his first Grammy, 1985, for Best Rock Vocal Performance for this. Rock Singers, Rolling Stone Single of the Year for 84. And so Courtney Cox, well, actually, you know that Courtney Cox went on stage with him. She didn't, she was kind of reluctant, but she did. So he was told to pick her out. He didn't know. He thought she was just some girl in the audience. He didn't know she was an actress, you know, already a famous actress. Pretty famous. She was on like a soap opera. But of course, later she went to star in Friends. But this was like her big break, you know, her dance, her, you know, up on stage. And she's only a year older than me. So at the time, I remember, of course, watching the video and seeing her, and that was a big deal. And it was so exciting. Because there were girls in the audience my age. I was 19 that year. No, 18. And then I turned 19 in the fall of 84. So she's older than me a little bit. But yeah, so that won, the video won the MTV 1985 MTV Video Award for Best Stage Performance. Yeah, he didn't know, but later he found out that she was an actress. No, that they had hired, but he didn't know that. He thought she was just some girl. He was told to pick out of the audience, right? So that was kind of cool, and that's a classic. So anyway, yeah, that's kind of go watch that. That's perfect. It's perfect for this week. And I gotta go do my laundry. I don't know whether I'm gonna wait, do it this morning, or I'm just gonna get it done. Go out 1 in the morning and just do it. I don't know. Anyway, gotta go play with my microphone. I have my paleo hot chocolate snack. End up having leftovers tonight. I just want to get it done. So anyway, till next week, have a great week. First week in November. I think there's a super moon. There's a full moon coming up. So, beaver moon, I think it's called. So, yeah, enjoy the season. Enjoy November. Here we go. And I will be here, same place, different time, next week. Take care.